Alrighty, we are back with another episode of What Would You Do? You guys loved it last time and we've got plenty of questions to ask today. So let's get straight into it, Kate. What is your first question?
We've got lots of scenarios. Actually, before we dive into it,
Yep.
one of our listeners DM'd me on Instagram and was like, I have listened to the What Would You Do episodes on repeat, waiting for your podcast to come back.
I love this.
And I'll put a screenshot onto the screen. It was the nicest message. So shout out to that listener for doing that because that made me feel really happy. I love these episodes. So this is essentially, if you're new here and you haven't listened to us before, what would you do is scenarios we would read out and we weigh in. What would you do? Some of them are fucked. Some of them are funny. Some of them are
rogue,
actually baffling.
Yep.
But we weigh in, we give our opinions.
You give yours.
Hopefully when you're listening, you're giving your opinion as well. Do you want me to kick off?
You kick off.
All right. Let's kick off. I've got a couple, but let's kick off with this shorter one. So you've built a business from the ground up, pouring in time and effort. Your friend Sarah, let's call her Sarah, knows this, but she never supports you. No shares, no referrals, no acknowledgement, yet she is the first person to hype up random influencers on social media and now wants free advice from you. Do you call her out or do you let it slide? What would you do?
I would absolutely address it as I think that there's this funny thing that happens when you're a service-based business. It's not a tangible product that someone is exchanging, right? So there's a blurry line between someone asking you questions and things of that nature that typically is part of your service and then it just being off the cuff. And I think that there should be a distinct line there because that is your job. So if someone keeps asking you, say, let's use this example, business related questions, there comes a point where you need to say, hey, like this sounds like business mentoring. This sounds like something that we should book in a call for. And it can be as simple as just redirecting that because one, maybe they're doing it unknowingly. Like let's just be like, give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Or secondly, like maybe they are just like trying to get advice but don't want to invest in mentoring. I'm going to use that example. So I think that redirecting it as what it is and also just reaffirming like this is my job. Like this service, me giving advice, I have to go back to business mentoring is because you have spent or this person has spent money to have the knowledge that they have and you should acknowledge that and also pay for that time. I think that would be the respectful thing to do. It happens with like coaching as well, like people wanting like programming and coaching for free and all of that kind of stuff. I actually think it's better to invest because you will value the information more and there should be a boundary there between like coach and client and then I think you'll be more adherent. But secondly, I think whatever this person's business is, it is just really good to learn how to have these conversations because they'll just keep coming up. So I would definitely address it with a friend.
Yeah. I just find it weird behavior. Like if you, and the thing is I don't ever expect my friends to invest in my business. Obviously it's nice if they do, but it's not an expectation that I have. So, but I do have a little bit of an expectation that you can kick me a fucking like on Instagram because you know that that is going to increase my engagement, increase my reach to reach the right people that I want to help. And it's easy. It's free. You know, you don't need to be like shouting my names from the rooftops and giving me referrals. But like doing a like or, you know, saving a post, it's like that's going to help me fulfill my long-term goal. And as a friend, you should want me to do that.
Yep.
I think as well, it's really weird that like people will spend so much money on influencers, products, offers, services. Like think about Kim Kardashian, for example. Like you will do a get ready with me and post Charlotte Tilbury fucking highlighter and talk about how great it is. Do you think Charlotte Tilbury even knows who the fuck you are or cares a single fuck about you? No. But you're there promoting that business, but then you wouldn't do it for a friend. So I would definitely either water off a duck's back and not care. I think something that a lot of people realize when they do get into business, and like we're speaking from experience here, your closest people are probably the ones that are never going to buy from you. It's going to be random strangers and that's okay. You shouldn't expect it from your friends. I don't think you should have this expectation. But also if you're a friend on the other side and you're like, you know, saying, I just never see your posts on Instagram, you're a liar. You know my name. You can type it into the search bar and give me a like. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
So I think have the conversation, but also maybe just like water off a duck's back. Like at the end of the day, if you know that you're helping people in a really good way with the business model that you have and the things that you're doing, it's like, do you need your friends' approval all the time? Probably not. You can just continue moving on.
No.
Yeah.
So for this person is supporting everyone else but not their business. They're feeling sad by that. They think that they're now just trying to get advice from them. What I would do would be redirect it.
Oh, don't give the advice.
Don't give the advice. Redirect it and say, this sounds like a call or book in or whatever.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's what you do for work. And I think that your friends will value that if they see it the same way.
Yeah. And also as well, like the reflection part of, you know, if your friend really wants the help, they'll be willing to invest the time, energy, effort, probably money into the service.
Yeah.
And your reputation will be kept alive.
Yeah.
Because you need to think, like if you're coaching people, and I'm just going to say, I don't know what business this is, but let's just say it's like a coaching business, whether it's personal training, nutrition, mindset, breathwork, business, whatever. If you're coaching someone or even a product, you want to have a good reputation.
Yeah.
You don't want that person coming in, not doing any work, then telling everyone, oh, you know what, she actually wasn't that good or that product actually wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Versus like them having to put time, energy and effort into it. They're probably going to show up, get a better result and then talk about you really well.
Exactly.
So yeah, I would not give the advice and just redirect to a call too.
Yeah.
All right, scenario number 2.
Now, this is a bit of a rogue one that I was contemplating this week because I hope I don't butcher his name, but Brian Johnston.
So this is a scenario that you have.
This is a scenario that I've thought of after watching.
Oh, these are all from Reddit, mine.
Yeah.
I need to get, okay.
Mate, so I hope I said his name right. It's on Netflix. It's Brian Johnson, Don't Die. And he's a longevity expert and he's a multi-millionaire in America that essentially is putting, I think, millions of dollars a year into research around preventing death, extending his life, reversing his biological age. The thing that I was thinking is for Brian, every day he has between, I think, 40 and 60 vitamins.
Whoa.
He limits his sun exposure. He doesn't drink alcohol. He does all of these really strict things, right? And he's trying to create a blueprint that other people can learn from. Now, what I wanted to know is if you had to live like Brian, this really, really strict way to extend your life from life expectancy from 80 to 120, which is what he's trying to do, right? Would you do that if it meant you had to live that way?
No.
That's what I think.
Take me out at the ripe age of 80 at the latest.
Yep.
The thing that, like, okay, look, we don't know because he hasn't completed this research yet. So he might get to 120 and still be as fit as a fiddle with no injuries, no illnesses, no mobility issues, whatever. So we don't know.
Yeah.
But let's just say we know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be 120 with a fucking walking frame, having to be, you know, someone change my diaper because I'm incontinent.
Yeah.
Like, take me out at 80. I've lived a beautiful, blissful, amazing, fun-filled life. 80 years on this planet. I think that's enough.
Yeah.
Someone else's turn. Take over.
Honestly, if you haven't watched this already, I actually really enjoyed it. And I think like his mission is interesting. He's putting himself on the line to like learn different things. But then I was also just thinking like, if I had to, like he exercises every day. He actually looks amazing. He's the fittest he's ever been. I think now he's like late 40s. But I was just thinking like if everyone knew that they could live an extra 30 years, but they had to do exactly what he does.
Extremes,
extreme, I don't think they would. I think what's good about it is learning like the nutrition, vitamin intake and the like lifestyle things that he's doing that we could definitely be doing. But the other end of things, like the different therapies that he's doing, I don't think we would do if it meant that it was really restrictive in the way that we live our life.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. I haven't watched, is it a movie or a documentary?
Documentary Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I will because that sounds really interesting and I'm actually interested to know more. But I don't know. I just think like, you know, death is a part of life. Like you can't have night without day. You can't have life without death. And I think like it's inevitable. Like you're going to die at one point, whether it's, you know, when you're 80 or 100. Hopefully majority of people live a very long life with good health and all the things. But I don't know. I just think like by the time I'm 80, I will have conquered everything I've wanted to do. I would have seen the world. I would have traveled. I would have had beautiful relationships. Like that's enough for me.
I think it's about striking that balance because I think like we want to live a life that is rich in experiences, have good health and all of that good stuff. Like that is what we're all like we're striving for, right? But I also want to do that with with the ability to take some risks and to enjoy life and to, you know, that's like the kind of difference I'm seeing.
I would also wonder the mindset side of that, right? Of like, would you become, so for me, I've got like a bit of health anxiety, right? And I think I've spoken about it on the podcast before, but like gone to the doctor, got a mental health plan to like get over this health anxiety, which has to do with my heart, right? When I got my heart condition, I was diagnosing, I wouldn't say it was very traumatic at the time, but now that I think back on it, I'm like, oh, it was pretty fucking traumatic. Like they thought I was having a heart attack and was going to die, like code blue, doctors, I don't know what code, but doctors everywhere, ECGs put on, like it was hectic. And I was like 17, right?
Yeah.
And I have a bit of health anxiety. So I wonder for him if like he would have a little bit of health anxiety. Like what if he does get sick? Like would he be like, oh, but I'm trying to prevent this. I'm taking all these vitamins. It doesn't seem to be working. Do I need to change? Like would it become really consuming? Because I know for me, when I have anything to do with my heart, mind you, it's very much under control ever since I started taking care of my health, weight training and doing all the things. But when I have like an episode with my heart, which is like unavoidable, unfortunately, I like panic. Like that's why I have like health anxiety and I have to go and fucking see someone for it because I notice the patterns of like that's debilitating.
Yeah.
So would that, I think like I wonder if that would be something that affects him too. And if it is, you know, would you want to be living your life like that? Like if
as
you
in
do
so stressed about what you're trying to do to prevent it that you're not actually present.
Yeah. And like if you do get sick, that becomes all too consuming because you're trying to prevent dying earlier in quotation. I don't know if I personally could handle that mentally.
Yeah. What's your next one?
My next one's a little bit of a long one. So guys, buckle on in. We've got a fucking story time.
We're on.
All right. My best friend, let's call her Mel, and I have been close for 10-ish years. And during that time, she's been in a couple of relationships, but she has been the single one for a few years now. Amongst all of our friends, Mel is the only unmarried one. She's made it clear that she's unhappy with being single and really wants to get into a serious relationship and get married sooner rather than later. I can understand her frustrations, especially since she's the only single friend. She does want kids someday and so on. About a month ago, Mel told me that she intends to be more productive with dating this year. Mel was introduced to this guy, a mutual friend, and they soon started talking over the phone. Mel says he has a lot of good attributes but finds him completely unattractive because they are the same height. He's 5'7" and so is she. I tried to convince her that height and looks shouldn't take precedence over his personality. Mel told me that she's only interested in men who are, in her words, an 8 or better, looks-wise, taller than her when she's wearing heels, ideally has no beard,
Sorry.
has advanced degrees, makes over $100,000 per year, doesn't have kids, and is currently attending church every week or every other week.
Can I just ask a question about Mel? How's that worked out for her so far?
Wait, hold on. The plot thickens. I'm not trying to be rude. So this is the friend. I'm not trying to be rude, but she works part-time, still lives at home, and doesn't hold most of these attributes that she's looking for in a man. Should I tell her to lower her expectations? What would you do?
As I interjected, I was just going to say, if that hasn't worked so far, then maybe we need to reassess being so rigid with our expectations. And I also think like to attract someone who's doing all of those things, you would expect to have mutual kind of ambitions or mutual kind of habits and things like that. Yeah. So I think that either raise to the level that you want to attract in terms of what you're going after, or assess whether or not some of those are purely vanity based and they're not actually, do they actually matter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think, and this goes for both ways, like male or female.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a partner, and I'm no relationship expert.
No.
But if you're looking for a partner and you have all of these things that you want them to be ticking, $100K a year, tall, no beard, or vice versa for a female, working really passionate in her career, making over $100,000 a year, owns a home, etc., but you don't have those things.
Yeah.
How can you expect that from somebody else? I think in order to find somebody who is your quote unquote perfect match, whether it's driven, ambitious, motivated, making really good money, having a really good career, you know, going to church like Mel wants somebody to be, it's important that you are also doing all of those things as well, because like attracts like. So if you are, you know, exceeding in your career, being really driven, being really ambitious, you are probably going to find somebody who is very similar to what you're already doing. if you're finding dating hard, but you are potentially working part-time, you're not very driven, you're not very motivated, but you want somebody who is of a high caliber and high standard, you're probably going to have a hard time finding that person, because the person with the high caliber and high standard is also looking for somebody else with the high caliber and high standard.
Yep.
So I think the first thing I would say is I wouldn't tell my friend to lower their expectation. I would actually encourage my friend to raise their standards. So actually looking at where they could potentially focus more on themselves to become better humans, to then attract a better human. If, it's like that typical saying. It's like if you hang around people who are like partying all the time or doing shit things, you're going to become the fifth person because you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. So same kind of vibe with dating. It's like you want to attract what you want, but you also have to be what you want as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to say some of those metrics that she has, I would actually dig deeper at and focus more on values.
Oh, the whole look.
It's the value. I think that the values are what underpin a solid relationship. So we spoke about like being a high income earner or whatever. I would say having drive, wanting to provide, having security, wanting to take care of you and take care of each other. I think those are the underpinning values that we're actually looking at that are more important than the actual.
What about the most important thing? Self-awareness, emotional intelligence. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Both male and female. But like if I'm looking to date a guy, I'm not caring about whether or not I can wear heels with him. I'm caring about whether or not he is self-aware and he has high levels of emotional intelligence and can hold a conversation with me.
Yeah.
I don't care about the fact that we're the same height. Who cares? And as a tall girl, I'm nearly 6 foot tall. I'm a fucking unit.
She's a unit.
I'm a fucking unit. Aman's a centimeter taller than me. I still wear heels. I don't give a shit at the end of the day. And that used to be a thing for me. I used to be like, I need to date a man who's 6'2". Then you actually look at, okay, does this person have all of the same values and morals? Are they driven? Are they? No, they're not. Okay, on to the next one.
Also, what? You're going to let the potential love of your life go away because they're 5 centimeters taller than your standard?
What? That sounds
like, I think
silly.
it's important to be attracted to someone, but I'm saying like, I just think like, where are the values in this?
And look, I do think physical attraction is important.
Completely
right?
agree.
If you're not physically attracted to somebody, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, you can still be physically attracted to someone who's only a centimeter taller than you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that that's like the cutoff and you need to go. So I would focus for Mel less on the physical attributes and more on like the actual,
values, raising your standard.
The things that matter in the long term. Like if you want to have kids, are they going to be a good father to your kids?
Yeah.
Are they going to be a good dad, or are they going to be a good mum?
Yeah.
It's not just about like, oh, they're not tall enough or they have the fucking beard.
Yeah. I also think I'd give people a chance as well to kind of get to know them. I feel like if you go in with these like rigid, what am I going to call it? Like just like rigid things that they need to do, then I feel like you're potentially like letting people go that you may have realized a solid person, but you couldn't see past that or get to know them because you'd already put up your guard because they're not ticking one of these many boxes.
Yeah.
So I think that's important as well.
Agree. Your next one?
What would you do? Let's get into it. You and your friend, let's call her Allie, have always been close, but lately something feels off. She's been distant, giving one-word replies and cancelling plans last minute. Then you find out through mutual friends that she's been venting about you, saying you've changed and you're too focused on your boyfriend. Instead of addressing it with you, she's making passive-aggressive comments in group settings. You're torn between calling her out and letting it go or having a real conversation. Do you confront her or walk away? What would you do?
Is that best friend or just friend?
It says you and your friend. So it doesn't say best friend. Let's just say like
I would assume they're quite close though.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like hanging around in the same circle.
Yep.
I would confront.
Yeah, 100%.
I think there's like, there's a honeymoon period in relationships. Like it depends. Like I feel like when your friend first starts dating somebody, they're like up each other's asses.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And like you need to give grace period to that. It's like the new exciting phase of dating.
Yeah.
They're going on dates. They're telling you about like, that's exciting for your friend and you should be excited for them, right?
Yeah.
But I guess if it's like after that honeymoon phase and, you have noticed clear distance in between, maybe she's a little bit rude, passive aggressive, and then you find out that she's talking about you to other people, absolutely. I would just face that head on and have a conversation. Like, firstly, have I done something to upset you? Because reality is you might have actually said something in passing that did upset her and she doesn't feel like she can voice it to you. So checking in, asking if you have done something to upset up, addressing the conversation, and then going from there based on her response. I think it's very easy in female friendships to have massive egos. Like, well, I'm stubborn. I'm not going to fucking ask her. She can come to me if she's got a problem. A lot of people have that like guard where it's like, just drop your fucking ego for a second. If you value the friendship, go in head on, act like a fucking adult and have a conversation.
I am so big on if the friendship is worth it, then you will weather the difficult conversation to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If you value continuing to be friends with someone, you need to be able to say, hey, I've heard this. Like, what do you think? And like say it in a neutral, like kind of position, not aggressive. No, not over text. Have a conversation and like work through it, because that is what will strengthen relationships. I just don't think anyone that I would want to be friends with would be talking about me behind my back. But if they did, then I would want to say, hey, what's that about? Because like that's not the standard of friendship that I expect. How did this go wrong? Why is this happening? And maybe it's an oversight on their end. Maybe it's something that's been misinterpreted because, you know, Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
But I think like the key to everything is just being able to have those conversations and just being able to move past it. And it might feel a bit awkward, but it's a lot better than losing the friendship. And if the friendship can be lost, then see ya.
Yeah, agree. If you did that to me, just know I'd be knocking at your door.
100%.
And then I'd take Finn as ransom until you spoke to me.
Take Kiki.
I'd turn off the GPS tracker and he'd be gone, man.
I'd just be getting like voice memos like, I've got your dog.
Nah, you wouldn't even get it. It'd be letters in the mail. Come and find him.
Jesus. But no, seriously, that's what I would do. Confront it, have the hard conversations, address it because it's worthwhile.
Yeah. I agree. All right, that wraps up today's episode of What Would You Do? We'll be back every single month with one of these because we know how much you guys love them. Now, if you did enjoy today's episode, we want to know how much you love them even more. So don't forget to give this podcast a 5-star rating. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You know the drill. And if you're enjoying it, tag us on your Instagram stories. We fucking love to see you guys listening to this podcast, and we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.